Hey everyone. Yeah, I did this video earlier when I was going to church yesterday because it's 2:08 in the morning on this Monday morning now. Very late Sunday evening, but very early Monday morning. So yeah, it's 2:08 in the morning on this Monday, the 25th of November, 3 days away from Thanksgiving. But anyway, I wanted to talk about, this past weekend's new Nickelodeon episode of TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Target April O'Neil. Now, a lot of people, when they talked about this, here's the situation. Now, when I started my first post at the Technodrome forums, which is one of the many among many TMNT fan sites and message boards. When I did that, when I posted my first post there, which is a text/video on why longtime fans still have a mixed reaction to the new TMNT, basically the 2012-13 version of TMNT, of Nickelodeon's TMNT, basically. I mean, the response I've been getting is overwhelming. It's kind of a back and forth deal. Some like it, some don't. Some like it, but they find flaws with it. Some don't like it and find flaws with it. Go figure. And some don't find anything wrong with it. One of the main things I talked about in this topic was the fact that even though I could sit down and watch the show, which is no problem, it's a TMNT show, I could watch it. The only thing that's detracting me, among many others, from what I've seen, and from what I've heard and seen, from what I've read, heard, and seen, I should say, the one thing that's distracting us is the fact that you have the three of the main human characters in the franchise, April, Casey, and Karai, portrayed as teenagers. Excuse me. Look at the sniffles right now. But you have those three portrayed as teenagers. And for some longtime fans, like myself, it's a bit of a turnoff, if you will. It's a bit of a, disappointment, because it's like you're taking years of tradition when it comes to the TMNT franchise, and you're saying, let's throw that away and let's do something different. Now, I have nothing wrong. Now I have nothing against trying something different. Believe me, I don't. I really don't have nothing against trying something different. But the thing is, for 30 years from the original black and white comics up to the recent run on 4Kids TV, Vortex, if you will. 4Kids TV / Vortex, to that recent run, to the comics, to one of the comics currently published by IDW, from the very beginning up until recently and currently with one of the Ninja Turtle titles by IDW, if you will, you've always had an adult April. You always have. It didn't matter it didn't matter exactly how old she was portrayed as. It didn't matter if she was portrayed to be in her mid-20s to early 30s. Didn't matter if she was portrayed to be in her early 20s to early to mid-20s. Didn't matter. As long as there was an adult April, people were okay with it. Because here's the thing. With an adult April, she has more access, believe it or not. Hold on for a second. She has more access folks. But like I said, she has more access. I was just checking something in there. She has more access as an adult to a lot of things than, say, a teenage April would. That's the whole point. Same with Casey Jones. He could do more as an adult Casey than he can as a teen Casey. Same with Karai. She could do what she has to do for Shredder a lot more as an adult than she can as a teenager. Now, again, this is probably one of the only thing among some other flaws and changes that they've done that some fans just cannot get behind. You know, and some fans have come out and argued that, hey, they did this for a reason. And yeah, we can understand the reason, but we just can't get behind it due to the fact that you've pretty much limited some of the main access that she could obtain. You know, like she could do a lot more. Even if she was portrayed as a college student, she could do a lot more for the Turtles as a young adult than she could as a teenager. Now, you might say, well, what does this have to do with this episode, Brian? Well, it's real simple. You see, the reason longtime fans like myself, and even, I guess you could say, recently newer fans that became fans because of the 2003 to 2010 series on 4Kids TV / Vortex. The reason we're more accustomed to a teenage April, to an adult April, I should say, to an adult April, is because, yeah, she could get frustrated with the Turtles, she could get mad at them, she can even get annoyed with them. But she wouldn't do it to the point that she completely shuts them off and then tries to attempt, and I'll give him points on this, attempt to go back to a regular life. It's not going to happen. I mean, there's an episode that I recently put onto DVD, courtesy of Windows DVD Maker, from the original TMNT show. And in the original show, in this episode, at the climax of it, the Turtles were trying to rescue Master Splinter, who was stuck in between dimensions, thanks to Shredder. So anyway, they're trying to rescue him, and they're using this big magnet out of a construction yard, and April's van and camera get sucked up, get basically sucked onto this magnet. And she basically says, not out of anger. Let me tell you that right now. Not out of anger. But she says this to Donatello. She says, Donatello, this is all your fault. But she doesn't say it out of anger. She says it out of annoyance. All right? She says it out of annoyance, not out of anger. And that's what fans were used to. They're like, well, wait a minute. I know some fans will be like, well, wait a minute, her car and her camera gets sucked up and yet she's only annoyed? Yeah. And you see, that's what fans are used to with April. They're not used to her being like this, being the way she was portrayed. But, when I saw, getting to this recent episode, even though I didn't see it, I did read the summaries, the reviews, the kind of summarization of it. I pretty much knew even before that sticky topic over here at the Nick forums. I knew that even before that sticky topic was going to, got as many pages as it's gotten. As soon as this topic, I should say, this sticky topic, got as many pages as it's gotten, including this one, I knew that as soon as I saw the title of that, I said, one or two things are going to happen. She won, and I knew it was going to be the most obvious. she was going to go back to the Turtles. Or 2, something was going to happen that would continue on with the tradition of TMNT, and that being April getting mutated. So, anyway, though, the first and most obvious one for anybody, including any longtime fan that actually watches the show and gives it a chance, or doesn't even have to watch the show but read the title of the episode and then kind of get an idea of what's going on, we all pretty much knew that this was going to be the episode where she would end up back with the Turtles. And it was. And I understand there's a lot of fans here at this topic, and at that topic I talked about here in the Nickelodeon section, and the Nick TMNT, here in this Nick TMNT section of the message board, and here on YouTube, that I know that there are some people that were like hoping they were going to stretch out this whole, separation of the Turtles, kind of keep them separated from each other. Keep her away from the Turtles for quite some time, even maybe to the mid-season finale or the actual second season finale. I know a lot of people were probably hoping for that because it would create more development, more character development, and more story development. But here's the thing. I think when they were developing this episode, just my opinion, this is just my opinion, but I think when they were developing this episode, they were deciding where to place it. Right? They have to decide where the episode's going to go in the continuity, or in the airing. Basically they have to decide where it's going to air, and what position, what number of episode it's going to air at, if you will. So I'm pretty sure, just my opinion, I'm pretty sure they were thinking, we could save this episode for maybe as a mid-season finale, or we could use it as a second season premiere or finale. Basically doing what a lot of fans were hoping, and that's what some fans, or a lot of fans were hoping, and that's stretch this whole separation, this whole situation between the Turtles and April out for a lot longer, and allow for more character and story development. I'm pretty sure they thought that, and I'm pretty sure maybe, again, my opinion, they were thinking of doing that. But I think whoever was in charge, or whoever kind of had like one of the final say-sos, of what placement in airing the episode goes in, I'm sure that person said, well, yeah, we could do that, but then again, we don't want to lose the hardcore, long-time fans that we got watching this show any more than we probably already are by taking this chance that we're going with for 5 weeks. Or going on, what would be maybe 5 weeks. Or for however long they were planning. Whoever's in charge, like say, whoever had that final say-so in the placement of the airing of the episode, my opinion, probably said, yeah, we could do that, but then again, we might lose more fans if we keep doing it, if we keep stretching this out. So what we need to do is just have it go up until maybe a certain point. And they did. He said and they did. They put a certain point, and that certain point was episode 6. Again, just my opinion, but that's what I'm thinking. But anyway, basically what happens, according to the summaries I've read in this topic here, basically April gets an unlikely source of wisdom, very wise and friendly advice, and helpful advice. And that very wise advice, if you will, comes from Casey Jones. Yeah, Casey basically says something along the lines, according to the summary, that accidents happen, but you can't hold a grudge against them forever. Or something like that. Basically he says accidents happen, but you can't hold a grudge against it forever. So basically, that somehow woke something up in April. It's like, wait a minute. He said, basically, from what I could tell just by reading that summary, it awoke something in April, basically saying, you know what, he's right. I can't hold a grudge against the Turtles anymore. You know, it's not their fault. It's not really their fault that my father became this way. They were just trying to protect him as well as me, and it just happened, you know. So I don't want to give much away about it, but basically that's the whole situation. Now, there is an ending here that a lot of people are going to like. Now, before I say this, though, like I mentioned earlier, when I read the title, I pretty much had a good, strong feeling that it was going to go the direction of she was going to reunite with the Turtles. I also said this, even though I didn't know this before I read the title of the episode, I mentioned this before to myself, and I don't know if I mentioned it on camera or in text or anything, but this is what I looked at. I looked at the fact that she was going to apologize when she would reunite with them. That's what I looked at. I'm being totally honest with you. I'm totally honest. I'm looking you guys dead in the eye right now. I'm being totally honest. I had a feeling she was going to apologize, and I think any longtime hardcore fan that watches this show or tolerates it or gives it a chance, when we read that title, when just like me, they read that title, says Target April O'Neil, not only did they know she was going to reunite with them, but she was also probably going to apologize. And she did. And I'm not going to be surprised if Nickelodeon, you know, does something along the lines to where they incorporate this whole situation with April being angry at the Turtles at one point during the season. I wouldn't be surprised if they incorporate that into the story and make that part of her training with Splinter. In other words, Splinter basically has to teach her, hey, look, you can't get mad, you gotta not let your emotions get the best of you, you gotta concentrate, you gotta let things flow out, kind of deal. So, again, that's just my opinion, but overall, I'll say this. For anybody that was hoping they were going to stretch out this whole drama between the Turtles and April up until a certain point, like mid-season finale or second mid-season premiere or official second season finale, if you guys were hoping it was going to be dragged out for a long time, again, you probably would have gotten your wish, but in my opinion, I think whoever had the final say-so realized that they were taking a risk on what they were doing so far, and that they were going to probably lose fans. Probably had a feeling they were going to lose fans, or they were going to cause a lot of controversy. And realized, you know what, we can't do that. This is April O'Neil. No matter how she is, or no matter how she's portrayed or looks, we need to have her with the Turtles. We can't keep her away from them for as long as she is. So, again, I'm thinking that's what, in my opinion, I'm thinking that's why they did it, because they realized, in my opinion, that they were already taking a risk. Well, but they were already risking a lot with the second season. They were risking a lot with the second season and some of the decisions they had made. But they also knew that the only way they were going to redeem this season in any way whatsoever, and probably not just keep the fans they attained during the first season, the inaugural season, if you will, from the long-time hardcore to the newer fans, and if not the very new fans. They knew if they were going to keep them, they were going to have to bring April back into the fold. And they did. I mean, because, come on, honestly. Like I said, they know they took a chance. They probably knew they were going to alienate a lot of viewers, and they did. But they also realized that they had to redeem what they were doing, some of the decisions they had made, by doing what they did. By making this episode, by officially airing this episode this past weekend. And that's why Target April O'Neil was aired. And that's why it was done in the way it was done. Because they realize there's a lot of longtime fans that pretty much will pretty much come out and say the same things I have. They pretty much say that the April that they have seen wouldn't stay that angry with the Trolls, wouldn't be angry at them at all. She'd be more annoyed or frustrated, but she wouldn't do it to the point that she shut them off. And again, I'm not going to be surprised if they play that into her training during this season. But again, it's just my opinion. It's my opinion on why the episode was aired, when it was aired, and why. And that's all I'm going to say. Let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll talk to y'all later.